My name is Ed Ryan, and this is a special episode of Beach Talk Radio. Does Fort Myers Beach have an out-of-control homeless problem?
We do have a problem down here, and I feel my heart goes out to the homeless. But after what happened with this horrific murder that we had on our island last Sunday, I'm afraid I'm going to take my heart back.
That's Doris Grant, who has a place on the beach. She says the homeless situation is very serious, and it's getting worse. She's had to call the police several times after finding people sleeping under her hedges or in her backyard. She says it used to be just a few people down on their luck looking for jobs, but it's turned into an element of homeless that she doesn't want to see on the beach, and people now do not feel safe. In a poll posted to our Facebook page earlier this week, 83% of the people who participated in that poll stated they agreed that the homeless situation on the beach is out of control. Over the next several weeks, in a series of interviews with community leaders, Beach Talk Radio will be taking a very close look at the homeless situation on Fort Myers Beach. It's become a very big topic among community leaders following recent events. On Sunday, January 20th, 2019, Library Director Dr. Leroy Hommerding was murdered. It happened in broad daylight as Dr. Hommerding was unlocking the library doors for a Sunday book sale. His alleged killer, Adam Soules, used a knife or some sort of machete, depending on who you talk to. Locals walking by the library took immediate action and chased Soules down until authorities arrived to take him into custody. It's also believed that Soules, 11 days before Dr. Hommerding was killed, assaulted another homeless man on the beach, not too far from the library, in the Tops parking lot. The man needed surgery and 50 stitches. So why was Soules still on the street after the first stabbing? Well, that depends on who you ask. Some say the man who was attacked did not know who stabbed him, while others say he just didn't want to rat out one of his own. Deputies say Soules confessed to that first stabbing after his arrest for killing the library director. When you ask residents how many homeless there are on the beach, you get numbers ranging from 20 to over 100. A lot of people land on between 50 and 60. But how can you really ever know the actual number? It's not like you can tag people and track them like animals. One thing's for sure, community leaders know the regulars, and they try to monitor their behavior, and they know the reputation of the bad apples. Adam Soules is a well-known homeless resident of Fort Myers Beach. Leading up to Dr. Hommerding's murder, we now know Soules was heading in the wrong direction. We learned this week that a plan was in place to take Soules to a facility in Naples that would help him deal with whatever issues he had. But that plan, unfortunately, fell apart at the last minute. We also discovered that he was acting in a way that led security at the Beach Baptist Church to ask him to leave their property. That was 9 minutes before the Hommerding murder. Here's what we picked up on just this week. There's now a sheriff's deputy at the library every day, a deputy's car parked in the library parking lot so everyone can see it clearly. It is unclear how long the deputies will be assigned to the library. There's also a sheriff's tower in the Tops parking lot, which is located right next to the library. On Monday, the sheriff will attend the town council meeting, and this will be the topic for discussion. And a community meeting is in the works, so there can be an open dialogue on how to move forward and prevent something like what happened to Dr. Hommerding from ever happening again. This is an election year, so you can be sure this issue will be on the top of everyone's agenda right through March. The issue of how to deal with the homeless situation on Fort Myers Beach has become issue number one. Residents are understandably upset over the murder of the library director. Some are extremely mad, and they want local organizations to stop taking care of the homeless. They want more police protection, and they want to feel safe. Some say the local churches are enablers. Shawn Critser is the pastor at the Beach Baptist Church. This past Wednesday, with the church's farmers market in full swing, I sat with Pastor Shawn in the parking lot next to the church's coffee truck, and we had a long discussion about the homeless, what happened that day, and how the community moves forward. In your opinion, does Fort Myers Beach have a homeless problem?
Fort Myers Beach has enough problems that I don't think we have to identify them as their individual problems, but it's not unlike any other community. The quick answer to that is no, we don't have a homeless problem. We have homeless people, and they have problems, just like our people who live in houses have problems. And in my interaction with every single person that I come in contact with, I don't try to identify whether they live in a house or not. They call Fort Myers Beach their home. So honestly, in their mind, they don't even, I think, so we have a definition problem as well. And those who don't live in houses, within that subculture, there are people with problems. And there are people who are here for ill purposes. And there are people here within that subculture that want to do harm to our community. I believe those people have to be identified, just like any of them who live in a house who want to give ill to our community need to be identified. And that's where, we're taking a proactive approach. I mean, we're meeting with law enforcement. We've gathered our church leaders together in our community. We have a ministerial association. We're meeting with the police on Thursday. We want to help identify those folks. And we call those folks those who are beyond our reach. They're not here for the services that we offer. They're not here to actually receive aid. They're here for some ill purpose. And we want no part of that. If we can't meet your physical, spiritual, or emotional need, then you fall outside of our realm, and I believe you probably fall outside the realm of a good, wholesome community as well.
Do you have any idea, or does anybody really have any idea, how many folks are without a home on Fort Myers Beach or that stay on Fort Myers Beach? Is there a number?
Yeah, there was a number. A few years ago, we identified it, and we because every person who doesn't have a home or a house that receives aid either with us or with Chapel by the Sea at God's Table, they have to have an ID. And if they don't have an ID, we actually help them get one. And at one time, that number was about 58. I don't have a current number because it's kind of like our snowbird numbers. They transition, so they're constantly moving around, and just like any of us are constantly moving around, of course. And we actually have some snowbird houseless, so to speak.
Is that right?
Absolutely. Folks, just because you're houseless doesn't mean you're stupid. And if it's cold up north, you're going to go somewhere where it's warm if you're living outside.
Right, and I mean, you can't blame people for wanting to be here. The weather is nice pretty much all the time,
whether you live in a house or not.
We've heard that there's some veterans, there's some people that are just without a home, there's some people that have mental illness. Is somebody identifying that, or is there a way to?
Absolutely. So the partnership that we have with churches is we're whether it's unfortunate or fortunate, I kind of call it fortunate, that we're sort of the first contact. Someone who is in the condition, as we're talking about, as a homeless. Churches are one of the first places they reach out, or any other free community event or service. Bay Oaks, library, of course, churches. So as a partnership with churches, we're identifying them by meeting them. The greatest way to find out someone's intent is to have a relationship with them. So we can't barricade an entire subculture, and we can't literally engage an entire subculture unless you actually engage them. So I think it's fortunate that they will come here. But then that partnership means if I see something that's just a little off, I don't have to find out if they live in a house or not. I just need to find out that they're a little off and they're receiving services from me. I will then contact those other ministers, and we're creating a database that sort of that notifies each one of us who are providing services. Hey, I noticed this about one of our clients. And we call people clients, we call them guests, we call them, whatever, because they're people. But if we notice something, the others who offer services need to know that. They need to know that, and if that becomes a pattern, and it becomes something that we can involve law enforcement with, then that's going to happen.
Is that something new, or is that something you've been doing all along?
We've been doing it, but not well. So as a ministerial association, we're committing that we are going to do it well. I mean, we are going to let our community know that we're there, but we're also very proactive in the safety and security of our neighbors, our members, our community. And that's whether they live in a house or not, because that subculture of people, they have the same fears. I mean, after the event that happened at the library with Dr. Leroy, those folks, they were just as fearful because everyone's at risk. It's not one culture against another. It's a community in turmoil.
In that group of people that you're talking about, do they now feel as if, oh no, everyone's coming after us because we had a bad apple in the group?
Of course, absolutely they do. But they also understand that that's not something that can literally happen, to come after a group of people. I mean, that's anarchy. If a community goes after a subgroup of their community, then we've fallen apart. Now, if you can be aware of a type of person, not their condition, but a type of person, whether it be mental illness or whether it be physical illness, whether it be veteran, whether it be something that can be offered, that's That's great, and that's our goal. As a ministerial association, as a church, just right here at Beach Baptist, we want to help identify issues in our community. We want that to get cleaned up, because the main reason, I can't help those who really do want help and really do need services if I'm constantly having to worry about those who are here for another reason. Mm-hmm. So I want that identification of problem. I want law enforcement interaction. I want working with town government. I want everyone to know we all got to get on the same page, identify the real problem, and come up with solid solutions to fix the real problems.
That Sunday morning, you noticed something was wrong, didn't you?
I did. I had an interaction with Adam right before he went to Dr. Leroy, literally 9 minutes prior. Nothing criminal, but enough that was off that our security team had to escort him off our property for the reason of he wasn't here for what we offered that day. He wasn't here for a church service, and he wasn't here for breakfast. So that just meant he didn't meet our scope of need that day. Unfortunately, he was out for ill that day, and he was out for bad. He didn't have any weapons here when he was here. So, in our interaction with law enforcement, it's that we're supposed to do what we can do and then allow the law enforcement to do what they're supposed to do. And that morning, it was what we were supposed to do, not necessarily law enforcement. I spent 3 days full of guilt, knowing that, I wish he'd have brandished something. I wished he'd have shown more aggressiveness here, literally, so that I could have involved law enforcement at that moment. But when your hands are tied and then something bad happens, that becomes really personal, So we dealt with that, but we took solace in the fact that we did what we were supposed to do. I hate to say the system we have in place here worked that day when it failed somewhere else, or a lack of a system somewhere else failed, But we can only be responsible for our own systems and then cooperatively make sure everyone has some sort of system in place.
How is it possible when somebody's having a bad day, in your eyes or anybody's eyes, to know? I mean, at what point?
How far it's going to go?
At what point do you call somebody?
Well, what we're being told by law enforcement is if it's something you can handle, meaning there's not a criminal activity, there's no physical violence, there's nothing that law enforcement's actually going to do if they get here. So, our point is, so in just that situation, what would have happened that morning if I would have called law enforcement is that the law enforcement would have just escorted him to the sidewalk because he didn't do anything criminal. But it would have taken a little bit longer. So we actually did the same situation with our security team that the law enforcement would have done. We just managed to do it faster. And that was okay because that was our job that morning. Protect our members and remove a person who wasn't here for the right reason that day.
So how are you doing after what took place?
Doing good. Now that we're seeing some progress, that we're seeing community leaders come together, that we're seeing a couple of members of town council come out to us and literally get to work with ideas and find out what's going on. Nobody really asked, what's going on. How are you handling people who come to you for services? Nobody ever asked that before. So we were able to give the knowledge that we have security teams trained to identify individuals. We have certain security procedures that are in place and safety procedures that are in place that are designed not only for just our campus but for the community as a whole. And then we were able to teach our interaction with law enforcement that we've had over the past couple of years in our training and in our discussions and following the procedures they've laid out. So I think that's given me another glimmer of hope for our community, that we can keep moving forward doing what we're supposed to be doing anyway.
Talk about some of the services that you do offer on the different days or nights where people need help. They need help with a meal. They need help with whatever you provide.
Sure.
Talk about those specifically.
So we start, my goal is to have something, our church provides something to its community 6 days a week. Just 6 days a week is my goal. Everybody's got to have a day off. So we start on Sunday, and we start with physical and spiritual needs. So that's breakfast for anybody. I mean, we don't feed a particular subculture. Once again, it's for everyone, and we have a ton of people that come and just eat breakfast. And then we have Sunday services. That's a meeting of a need. Okay, that's not all the church does. We just happen to do that on Sunday. Then when Monday starts, we offer exercise classes here for seniors, for actually just anyone, but there's an actual extra senior class. We have senior spin, we have senior weight, we have body pump, we have those things like that. So that's physical need that we meet. Tuesday rolls around and we're literally prepping for our food giveaway. So Tuesdays and Wednesday mornings we go and we gather food, which we know we're either going to serve hot or we're going to give away as groceries. As well as women gather and we teach. They teach knitting and crocheting and things like that here on the property. Then Wednesday we have this farmers market, and that's offered so that people can come get fresh produce, all that stuff. You know what a farmers market offers. And then there's an extra Bible study during the same time. Right now, there's one going on upstairs for anybody that comes along and they want just spiritual hanging out, and talking about life. And meet with other people. Then we move into Wednesday night where we feed a hot meal at 6:30. Once again for everyone. That runs about 100 people in season on a Wednesday night. So it's a fresh hot cooked meal, and we ask for like $3 donation or something like that. That helps, offset that. A lot of people attend that. Then Thursday comes and we hand out groceries. We have about 250 mouths that come through there on any one Thursday. And I was asked the other day, well, you feed the homeless on Thursday, and I'm like, I feed 250 mouths, and 2% of them, 2 to 4% of them, actually is the real number, are without a house. Or without a structure to live under, I should say.
It's important for people to know those numbers.
Yeah, 2 to 4% live outside. We should say it that way. The rest of the folks that come and receive groceries on a Thursday here are underemployed. They're single moms. They need help. Many of them drive here, of course, because they have those resources to go to work, but they don't have enough resources to get through the week. So all we do is patch in, on that Thursday. Our goal is to just get you enough groceries that helps you offset the cost a little bit. And it's not a food bag of garbage food that people aren't going to eat. We're literally set up so that you can come through with your children if you want and shop, for groceries. And that literally started because I was in Publix and I watched a child ask for a particular cereal. And about grocery stores, they put the really good sweet cereal on the bottom,
yes.
Right at eye level of children, right? That's what it's for. And I heard the mom go, no, you can't have that one. And she had to reach up to the top and grab the brand flakes or whatever's up there for WIC or for food stamps or whatever at that time. And I said, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. We can do better than that. So we put the cereal at the exact same level here at our campus. And so when the kids walk through and they go, can I have the Fruit Loops? The answer is always yes, because just because you don't have enough food to make it through doesn't mean you need to eat crap. I just hate that. So that's our full Thursday. And then Thursday afternoons and Fridays, we have volunteer services that come in here and they work. We also offer food stamp sign-ups on Thursday. So we're in Access Florida stop site for that. And then every single day, we have an after-school program here on campus where we run a bus from our local elementary school, and we care for kids till 5:30. And our main goal there is literally homework. We don't want a parent to pick up their child at 5:30 and have to go home and do homework for an hour and then spend 30 minutes with their child and put them into bed. We want to enhance that family experience so that we get all that work done, so that when they get home, they can just be mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or whatever, have dinner together and then play a game, whatever they got to do to just hang.
That's great. That's a lot of stuff. Do you get any sleep? What do you want to say to some of the community members that we've heard from or talked to that say that we have to stop enabling is the word they're using? Because I think there's some angry people now.
Sure. First, I would say chill out, relax a bit, and have the emotions, but then let them settle, and then let's identify both the real problem and create the real solution. Let our community know that we're aware that there's problems, not that we have a set of problem people, but that we have problems, and let's get our heads out of the sand, pardon the pun, and fix those problems and work together to fix those problems. The churches are not going away. People with needs are not going away. Ministry services are not going away. So we have to find a way to do them safely, effectively, efficiently, and cooperatively.
What do you think the solution is in the long term to try and prevent what happened?
It's literally communication. Everyone has to talk to one another. Stop looking at a church as a denomination. Look at it as a need center for the community. Look at the community centers as community need centers, whether it's Bay Oaks, and then all of us who are involved in that portion of society, that service-oriented, need-meeting portion of society, which every society has and has to have. We have to talk together. We have to know. We know. Every one of us knew Adam, and every one of us know Adam. Everyone who offers services on this beach know him, and we know every single one. We have relationships. Relationships are the key. We have to have relationships with those who are receiving needs, and we have to have relationships with the others who are providing needs. And we have to just talk to one another and identify and cooperate. And then when we get enough collective information, reach out to the people with authority that can help make changes.
Is there anything the residents who might be voicing that complaint, is there anything they can do to participate or help?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't engage with someone who's presenting a mental issue or a problem, even on your property. Notify. If there's a criminal activity, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. If you're concerned about someone who's receiving services from their community, whether it be a church or Bay Oaks or any of that stuff, go to them. I welcome the conversation if a resident is seeing behaviors from anybody that then they know is receiving community benefits and services. We need to know that. We need to help identify it. I don't call it enabling. I think that's an overused term. It's kind of like ADD. You just placate somebody with a label. Because just because I give someone food doesn't mean they're not going to be hungry tomorrow anyway. Or if I withhold the food, they're still hungry today and hungry tomorrow. Withholding food doesn't make them go get a job. Some people can't. Some people have and just don't have enough. That's not my job. If you're hungry, I'm going to have to get you food. But if you have a problem that I can't fix, my job is to help you find somebody who can.
Do you feel like the local government, as much as they can or should be involved in something like this, has been involved, or do they just really get involved when an incident happens?
I think that's with anybody. I mean, when you boost awareness, the community wants to see results. And I'm all about that. Like I said, I love the awareness. I hate the event that had to happen to get us to be aware, but I love the awareness. Have they been in the past? Probably to the extent they're supposed to be. I mean, the government officials are not supposed to offer need. That's not in their scope. That's our scope. Have they done well at working with us and providing those needs? No. But the communication wasn't there. I hope it is. I see it starting, and I'm going to do my dead level best to keep it rolling.
Give us your prediction when things start to die down a little bit. Where do you think this will be in 6 months?
Oh, the next big issue will roll up pretty quick, and it'll come off the forefront, but it's not going to get out of my scope. It's not going to get out of... I don't want people to forget. So my prediction is if I'm doing my job well, they're not going to forget, because I'm going to let them... I'm going to keep pushing the fact that they need to know what's going on in their community, but they need to know the background to it and the inner workings of it. They don't just need to see a church sitting out there helping everybody and making everything bad. They need to know that we take it seriously and that when we help people, we're meeting a need, and when people are here that are wrong, we're helping. We're on that side too. We're working on both avenues at the same time. We don't take a religious approach. We don't. Right. It's all religion. You got to leave them alone. No, everybody's okay. It's not. It's just not true.
Our thanks to Pastor Shawn from the Beach Baptist Church and Doris Grant for taking the time to be part of our special series on the homeless on Fort Myers Beach. Our next interview in this series will be with Pastor Steve at the Chapel by the Sea. And stay tuned to our Facebook and Twitter pages for breaking news on this story and other news and events from Fort Myers Beach. And as always, Kim and I look forward to seeing everyone at Pete's Time Out for our regular Saturday morning 9 a.m. edition of Beach Talk Radio.